No one heard the exact words. No microphones were on. No cameras were meant to capture it. And yet somehow, the feeling of that moment spread across the world like wildfire, leaving millions of fans emotional, shaken, and asking the same question over and over again. What did Jungkook say to RM after the concert ended? Because whatever it wasn't ordinary. It wasn't casual. It wasn't something that could be brushed off as just another backstage conversation. It was something deeper, something that carried weight, something that, even without clear audio, without confirmed quotes, without official statements, managed to break the hearts of fans everywhere. The night in Tampa had already been unforgettable. The energy inside Raymond James Stadium had reached levels that felt almost unreal. Purple lights filled the air like a galaxy brought down to Earth. The chants of Army echoed through every corner, every seat, every space that could hold sound. Jungkook had been unstoppable on stage. Powerful, precise, overflowing with energy. Smiling, laughing, connecting with fans as if nothing else existed in that moment but him and them. Because when the lights faded, when the stage emptied, when the noise slowly turned into silence, everything changed. Backstage, the atmosphere shifted into something quieter, more real, more vulnerable. The adrenaline began to drop, replaced by something heavier, something harder to explain. Jungkook stood still for a moment, not moving, not speaking, just standing there, as if trying to hold on to something that was already slipping away. Then he turned and walked toward RM. It wasn't rushed. It wasn't dramatic. But there was something in the way he moved, something in the way his shoulders carried weight, that made people nearby notice immediately. This wasn't just a casual approach. This was intentional. RM looked at him, calm, steady as always. But even he seemed to sense it, the shift, the energy, the emotion that Jungkook was carrying with him. They stood close, closer than usual. And for a brief moment, nothing happened. No words, no gestures, just silence. The kind of silence that says more than anything spoken. Then Jungkook spoke, quietly, so quietly that no one could clearly hear what he said. But they saw it. They saw the way his expression changed. They saw the way his eyes softened, then tightened again as if holding back something that refused to stay contained. They saw the way RM's face shifted from neutral to serious to something much deeper. Because whatever Jungkook was saying, it mattered. A lot. Some staff members nearby later described the moment as heavy. Not in a negative way, but in a way that felt real. Honest. Unfiltered. Jungkook wasn't performing anymore. He wasn't the global superstar on stage. He was just himself. And he was speaking from somewhere deep inside. Fans would later speculate endlessly about what he said. And while no one could confirm the exact words, the feeling of it became almost clear through the fragments, the expressions, the emotional aftermath. It felt like a confession, not as something shocking, but as something human, something simple, yet overwhelming. I already missed them. That's what it felt like. Not because it was heard clearly, but because everything about that moment pointed to it. The way Jungkook looked down briefly, the way he exhaled slowly, the way his voice seemed to tremble just slightly, and the way RM listened, completely focused, completely present, completely understanding. Because he didn't interrupt. He didn't react immediately. He let Jungkook speak. All of it. Whatever it was. And then, slowly, RM responded. Not loudly. Not dramatically. But calmly. Steady. The kind of response that doesn't try to fix things, but simply acknowledges them. Because sometimes emotions don't need solutions. They just need to be heard. Jungkook nodded slightly. But it wasn't a confident nod. It was small. Almost fragile. But powerful enough that even those who couldn't hear a single word could feel the impact of it. And then, Jungkook looked away. Just for a second. But in that second, something shifted again. Because his eyes glistened. Not fully crying this time. Not breaking down completely. But close. Close enough that it didn't go unnoticed. RM stepped a little closer. Not invading space. Not overwhelming. Just enough to remind him. I'm here. And that was enough. That small movement, that quiet presence, that unspoken support. Because Jungkook didn't need anything else in that moment. He didn't need answers. He didn't need reassurance in words. He just needed someone who understood. And RM did. Perfectly. Because he had felt it too. That strange, overwhelming mix of emotions that comes after a concert ends. The sudden silence after hours of noise. The absence of thousands of voices that had just been calling your name. The distance that returns the moment you step off stage. But for artists, there are moments to lose. Because they happen once. And then they're gone. And no matter how incredible they were, you can't go back. You can only remember. That's what made Jungkook's confession, whatever the exact words were, so powerful. Because it wasn't about fame. It wasn't about success. It wasn't about performance. It was about connection. Real connection. The kind that doesn't end when the music stops, but feels like it does. And that feeling hurts more than people expect. Eventually, the moment passed. Not because it ended, but because it settled. Jungkook took a small breath, lifted his head slightly, and the weight, while still there, seemed lighter. Not gone, but shared. And that made all the difference. Because emotions feel heavier when you carry them alone, and lighter when someone understands them. The two stood there for a moment longer. Then slowly they moved on, back to the routine, back to the world outside that moment. But something had changed. Something that couldn't be seen easily, but could be felt deeply. And when fans around the world began to hear about it, when small clips, subtle images, and quiet descriptions of the moment started to spread, the reaction was immediate. They felt it too, even without hearing the words, even without seeing everything. They felt the emotion behind it, and it hit hard. Comments flooded in. Why am I crying and I don't even know what he said? I can feel how much he loves Army. This hurts in a different way. This is so real. Because that's the truth of it. The power of the moment didn't come from what was said. It came from what was felt. And maybe that's what makes it unforgettable. Because sometimes the most meaningful conversations are the ones no one fully hears. The ones that exist between words, between glances, between breaths. And now, as fans continue to replay that night in their minds, as they revisit every clip, every image, every small detail, trying to piece together what happened, one question remains stronger than ever. If a quiet, private confession like that can move millions of people without even being heard, what would happen if the world actually knew every single word Jungkook said in that moment? Loudly crying face Purple Heart after the concert ended at Raymond James Stadium, a quiet but emotional moment between Jungkook and RM has gone viral worldwide. Loudly crying face Purple Heart. No one clearly heard what Jungkook said, but fans believe it was a heartfelt confession about how much he misses Army after the concert ends. RM listened closely, showing deep understanding and support in a moment that felt raw, real, and unforgettable. This unseen side of Jungkook is now touching millions of hearts across the globe. Was this his most emotional moment ever? Or is there something even deeper behind his words? Backhand index pointing right, watch till the end to feel the moment. Backhand index pointing right, like, comment, and subscribe for more BTS updates.